Kamen Rider Build.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Build Episode 8. So, this was another solid episode. I don't feel like it was a huge, groundbreaking revelation episode where we didn't get too many major things about the plot revealed, I guess. But we did get things moving pretty nicely. We got another new best match, which was Fire Hedgehog. And this one came about, well, she finished the fire bottle. And, you know, he was actually testing him out in the field. Like, he was just doing it randomly. He put in Pirate for a second, and I thought we were going to get to see that. Like, I thought he was going to test it by fully transforming, which wouldn't make sense because it says best match. But so we got to see that be put in the driver, but we didn't end up using it until he found the new best match, which is Fire Hedgehog. I actually don't even think we saw Rabbit Tank in this episode. There was actually like 4 or 5 different form uses, and there was like a couple best matches and a couple odd combos, and I hope they keep that up through the series. I like the unique fighting styles that different combos can bring, and I like when they balance the forms well. But so that was a thing. But again, because of the nature of this, it wasn't really a storyline. Some of the best matches, some damn best matches, they are damn storylines. I don't know why that happened, but some best matches have a little bit more of a story behind their debut, but others don't. But again, because of the nature of the way this moves, it doesn't bother me. I don't want to mention that all the time, but I know it bothers some people, but because we don't have like an Edison or an Urotaros or something that feels like it needs a storyline attached to it, I'm fine with the forms being more like cool upgrades up until, you know, we'll probably get a storyline for like the mid-season or the quarter season and the mid-season combos. I mean, forms, you know what I mean. I always call them combos. Anyhow, so that did happen in terms of like merchandise debuts. But basically, the lady who I thought was his wife last week, I don't know why. Sometimes I'm stupid. And by sometimes I mean almost always. And you know this if you watch this channel. Why is it a surprise? I broke Nadeshiko's arm on camera. Anyway, so like that sounded like I did it maliciously, but you know, anyway. So it was his mother, and she didn't really tell us anything that new that was shocking. Basically, that her son like committed to science and to the Faust stuff, or that led to him founding the projects and stuff, was her father, her actual husband, his father's death after the Pandora's box stuff, and sort of trying to it's kind of like that classic son trying to make up for his parents' mistakes by doing basically what they did but better. And there was like a flash drive that was on the hunt for, and she tricked him, and they got it. And at the end, and there was a fight for it between Night Rogue and Bloodstark, and then Bloodstark let him have it, and then they opened it at the end, and it was revealed to be the Kamen Rider Build project. Now, so that was pretty much what happened in the episode, and I don't necessarily have a ton to say about stuff that happened specifically in the episode, but I wanted to address a couple theories. I saw a couple theories last week that were interesting, both on YouTube comments and on Twitter. They're both over here in this computer. That was weird. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, but one of them was that somehow Sento is that dude that was murdered, and that he wasn't murdered, and he somehow switched himself out so that like Sento went into his body and got killed and he's now in Sento's body. Straight out of a telenovela, right? I thought that was weird. Like, interesting, but weird, but the moment that made me think that was plausible, again, this could all be knucking futs and might not ever happen, but was like, he was eating the omelet that was like the favorite omelet of the dude that died, and he started crying. That seemed weird. Like, it seemed like a classic red flag, like, oh, he's the real Todd Manning. Like, that was what it felt like, and so I'm curious about that. That definitely seems weird, but given that he's so smart at stuff, and that he had the build system stuff, not only on the flash drive, but before, and that omelet thing, I don't know, I'm keeping an eye on that. I think that would be interesting. I'll see how that plays out. Again, from weeks' time, you could be watching this in the future. You could be watching this in the year 2020, and we're in Kamen Rider, like, Pinecone Trees or whatever, and you're just rewatching Build, and you stumbled on my reviews, and you're like, what is this dude talking about? Everyone knows that he's not that dude. That's the way I feel sometimes in old reviews when I'll mention theories and stuff. My least favorite is when I review Power Rangers items and say, no one, there hasn't been an official name given for this yet, and someone will comment 3 years later saying, you idiot, it was named that. I said there was no official name. Anyway, tiny venting. So, that was a random tangent. My point is that I'm just bouncing off what I've heard, and there could be evidence that ruled this out some point and I just didn't catch it because, again, I'm balancing like 1,000 shows right now, so it all gets crisscrossed. But regardless, I thought that was an interesting theory that of all the things I didn't think was plausible until the omelet. That's a quote to put on a shirt. The other was the theory that the dude that died actually didn't die and he's Bloodstark, or, like, not that he replaced himself necessarily, well, you never know, but that he was believed to be dead and then they took the corpse out and, you know, put him in the Lazarus pit, or he just wasn't dead and he's Bloodstark. And I feel like that could be less plausible, and now that I said that, that's probably what's going to happen. But in this episode, I thought, like, well, they're on the hunt for this flash drive, and if he's that dude, then he would know where it is. But then he did show up at the school at the end, and I don't remember, like, Night Rogue saying, go to the school and find it digged up. Dug up? Dig a dig, dig a dig. Doug Trio. You got the picture. Underwears. Anyway, but, so, he did show up there, and then I was thinking, but even if he did show up there because he knew where it was, why wouldn't he just tell Night Rogue and all them Faust guys? But then I'm like, well, what if they don't know Bloodstark is, that dude? I don't know, because, like, I was thinking, well, he's never de-transformed in front of them, but Night Rogue didn't either until we were supposed to know who he was. So I don't know. Those are two of the theories that I heard of last week that I thought were interesting. I'm kind of torn on the Sento one because on one hand that would be kind of an interesting twist and it could add a lot more depth to certain things as the series goes. But the more I sat with it, the more I liked that Sento was just a weird normal dude and that he sort of became important because of this accident in a way. So I kind of liked that the more I sat with it. Like I said, I think it was last week or the weeks before, that I ended up liking that. It just took me by surprise that we revealed it so fast and it was so basic. But because we did reveal it so fast, that could mean there is a twist to this. So I don't know. And I just talking about all this right now, there's so many theories that I'm just talking about here, and this isn't even all the theories about what's going on, and we're on episode 8. Like, I feel like we're so much farther in some ways because there's been so much going on. And speaking of, like, I'm going to assume that whatever's on this drive will start us into the journey of Ryuga getting the claws powers. Because I was thinking in this episode, I actually think this every time Ryuga's fighting and he's using the little bottle, that I'm really happy that they didn't rush his intro. Which also seems weird to say because we're in episode 8. So if he were to debut next week, which he isn't, I don't think, it would be early on. We're within less than 10 episodes if he debuted next week, but like they very easily could have rushed his debut. They've done it in numerous series where they want to get multiple writers out there as fast as possible, and I feel like his development is being well done in terms of being a member of like Team Build. I can call it a team building exercise. Anyway, and then I don't know, I just feel like even at this point now, it's going to feel like an earned development when he suits up as Claws. But I'm just going to kind of assume that the flash drive is going to lead us into this because Bloodstark gave one of the reasons that they let him have the flash drive is that Sento is the key to working on this stuff, but Ryuga is going to be the one to test it out. So yeah, anyway, overall I thought this was a good episode. Like I said, nothing absolutely spectacular in terms of like huge revelations, but it did get me thinking about a lot of things. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. I'd probably give it an 8. That's 2 8s for this week's Superhero Time. Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Kamen Rider, signing out.